And we're live. Welcome to Talking Tuesdays with the Starch Queens.
Hey, everybody.
I am Jeanne Schumacher, the Queen of Diamonds, and my partner, the Queen of Hearts, Nancy Matthews, and together we're the Starch Queens.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening.
And our lifestyle and weight loss program is online. This is where we provide coaching, we provide recipes, an educational program. This is going to help everyone to find weight loss success and heal. Change their health destiny. You can find our program at sqweightloss.com, and our main website is starchqueens.net.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jeanne, for our wonderful introduction. I have the honor and the pleasure of introducing our guest speaker tonight. I'm so excited to introduce Kathy Anderson. Kathy Anderson's here in my hometown. She's a plant-based Chico member, and Kathy has completely turned her health destination on a 180. So Kathy joins us tonight, and she's going to share with us how she has adopted mindful eating. Kathy was originally wheelchair bound. She had gained weight through, living the standard American diet, and how a lot of us do. And then Kathy made the decision to have bariatric surgery. So Kathy had bariatric surgery, which led her to lose, quite a bit of weight. She's at 180 pounds so far. And since then, she's no longer in the wheelchair. She's adopted a plant-based lifestyle. She's reversing chronic disease. She's walking wonderfully. And the most really cool thing is that she has adopted a mindful way of eating, and she's developed a program. And Kathy's here tonight to share her journey, what led her to a wheelchair, what led her to a plant-based lifestyle, how she developed and created her mindful eating program. And then a little super awesome secret is that Kathy is an aspiring plant-based chef, and she's going to talk to us about that tonight. So welcome, Kathy, to the Starch Queens.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited.
Awesome. So let's get right into it. We have a lot to talk about tonight on mindful eating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you really quickly. We're going to go, not really quickly, but we're going to go through talking points. And the talking points that we'll start tonight, Jeanne will ask you the first talking point, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. And before I jump in and ask you the first point, we ask you to please share, like our page, and you'll be notified when we go live. But also share, please share it to your timeline. Please share it with others, because we're trying to get this message out of healthy living. So,
yes.
All right. So mindfulness eating points, talking points tonight. What are the three different components of your program, and how do they work together?
So what I decided was there's three different parts of our body that kind of like, if we have the knowledge, they can seamlessly come together and really help us know what's going on in our bodies, and then how we can kind of work around it so that we can get to the goals that we set. So first is basic nutrition, which I think you ladies handle really well. So I think we can skip most of that. But what's one of my favorite subjects is the psychology of eating. And so these are like our human instincts that we were born with. And why do we do like different crazy little things? And everyone does them. It's like, oh yeah, we all do that, and nobody knows why. So let's explain some of those. So at least if you know why you're doing it, then we can catch it before. And because those instincts in this modern world don't work so well for us anymore. And then of course, mindfulness. So mindfulness, the tool is really, it's meditation, but it's like mind training, right? So think of it as exercise for your mind, right? And it takes practice, just like exercising in the gym does, right? So we need to start off slowly. And it is a training meditation program where we start off very, very slow, and we learn step by step to then adopt a way to train our minds. And then we can move that training into our everyday lives. So the three steps all work together so that you have the knowledge, and then you do the practice, and then you can actually make changes in a much easier fashion than if you're just trying to like use your willpower and hardcore your way through it. That doesn't seem to work very well for any of us, really.
Wow.
But those things are all together in one program.
Excellent. Well, before we go on to the next question, Nancy, I'd like to show our viewers what Kathy looked like before.
I think that's a great idea. So we're going to show you Kathy's before picture, which I think is so powerful.
I know.
There, we have in our Starch Queens program, we love to just really get in there and do our non-scale victories. And so here's Kathy's before picture when she was in a wheelchair. And who's this handsome young fellow with you, Kathy?
Oh, that's my little nephew, Eli. I just love him to death. He is such a little cutie. And
Awesome.
He is actually coming to visit me this weekend. So I'm super excited.
That's fantastic.
But so every time I see that picture, I can't believe that that's me.
Congratulations really on your accomplishment. This is amazing. So how long were you wheelchair bound?
I was in a wheelchair for about 4 years. I could not stand without holding on to something for dear life. I couldn't even get in and out of my shower by myself. So I spent, a little over 4 years, just bathing in the sink, which when you have that much weight and that many rolls to just keep clean is very difficult. I still had to work every day and go to work. I would wake up 4.5 hours before I had to be to work because it took me such a long time just to get ready for work every single day. Luckily, in my profession, I'm an esthetician, which was totally easily done in a wheelchair, So in fact, I had a very busy, practice. So at least I had that going for me, but I didn't have any health insurance. And so it was people just go to the doctor. I'm like, who's going to pay for this? And I contribute my weight loss. One, I admit I did this to myself. No one else did it to me. Right.
We all do.
I did it to myself. And basically it was because I hated to cook. Right. I couldn't stand it. So whatever I had to do that was easy that I did, I used to say, I can't make this dish. It takes 4 pots and 2 cups and 3 spatulas. It's that's too much work. I can't even stand at the sink long enough to rinse them off to put them in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
So it's just once you become disabled and the world is not really set up for you only being 4 feet tall in your wheelchair, right? It just makes everything, cycle downhill and gets just worse and worse and worse. And then when you can't physically move and you're eating the same amount of calories, you start gaining weight exponentially. It's crazy. So finally, it was actually, of all things, Obamacare. I was able to actually get health insurance. My brother-in-law is actually a registered dietitian, and God bless him. He did try to get me on the right track, but I thought it would be interesting. When you go on Amazon and you open up something and it says you'd purchase this on this date, right? Yes. I remember when I met Nancy, she said, buy Dr. McDougall's Ultimate Weight Loss book, right? And I opened it up on Amazon and I looked and it said, you've purchased this back in 2004, right? Wow. And I was like, I did.
It's amazing
so
how
I had it in my hands and couldn't do it, And so that just flabbergasted me that now, a little over 10 years later, it's I finally started using the tool that I had the whole time and just didn't have the willpower to do it.
Wow. That's amazing, Kathy. I mean, like you said, we lose perspective and don't take things for granted when we are standing upright. I had hurt my foot and was in a wheelchair over in Reno, and Nick was pushing me around. And like you say, it is very difficult for people with disabilities who are in a wheelchair. And we don't stop and think about how just making a simple meal in the kitchen can be a monumental task. And so what happens,
you can't even see in the pan that what you're cooking. Right?
But what we do is we go to the drive-through.
Right, exactly.
That's what we do, because that we can do. That's set up where we don't have to get out of our car. We can go right to the drive-through. And unfortunately, that it just makes it so much easier. That's amazing. We have a question for you now. How can mindfulness meditation influence your diet?
Well, mindfulness, like I said before, meditation is a way of training your brain, right? Life is a set of situations where there's cause and effect. A happens, we directly go to B, C, and D for years, right? For 40 years, I'm hungry, go to McDonald's, right? And so mindfulness allows you to train your brain to let go of an idea so that you can actually search for other options, right? And it kind of creates a space between A happening, and then you can pause, right? Like something you ladies use, right? You say,
Yep.
use the pause, right? You can pause that just that little pause and letting go of option A, right? Now you can look at option LMNOP or XYZ. But without training your mind to let that first option, that automatic option, that option that you've been doing for decades, without having that tool of being able to let it go, you never even search for the other options. Because when you're stressed out and you're hungry and you're late getting somewhere, right? You don't have time to grunt through it, right? You even tell yourself, I am not going to eat sugar anymore, right? And lo and behold, 2 hours later, you're consuming something with sugar because life got in the way, right?
Yep.
I often tell these funny stories about the angels, the good angel and the bad angel, like sitting on my shoulder, right? And say you're at someone's like birthday party, right? And all of a sudden someone puts out this big platter of cupcakes, right? And the bad angel's like, ooh, cupcakes, right?
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
The good angel is like, no, we're trying to lose weight. We don't eat cupcakes, right? But the bad angel is like, yeah, but we worked really hard today, right? And we deserve a cupcake. And the good angel, no, we don't eat refined flour, and we definitely don't eat sugar, right? But yeah, well, Tiffany will be very upset if we don't try one of her cupcakes, right? And so what I figured out with mindfulness meditation, this is not the good angel and the bad angel, right? It's our body and our mind. And they're sitting at opposite ends. And let's pretend they're on a teeter-totter. And they're both pushing up as hard as they can, trying to be the dominant one, right? And so sometimes our body, right, it often says, hey, look, I was born with these instincts and I've kept these human beings alive for hundreds of thousands of years. I know what I'm talking about, right? And then the mind says, no, you don't. This is modern. This is the modern world. You have no idea what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about. And they go back and forth on this teeter-totter, right? So the teeter-totter is actually life, and we have ups and we have downs, right? But with mindfulness meditation, we can actually start bringing the body and the mind closer and closer and closer together. So the life still happens. We still teeter-totter, but when we're sitting next to each other, we're teetering this much, not this much, right?
Ooh, that's fascinating. I like that.
Yeah. And all it is creating that space to stop and look at your options and decide to choose a different route. You ladies are wonderful at teaching the different options, right? Like, don't go to McDonald's, pack food, right? Have some carrots in your purse. Those are the different options that we need to like pause. Yeah, potato hour. Like, oh my gosh, if I don't eat my potato before I go home from work, I literally pass 9 drive-through restaurants to get home, right? That's 9 temptations I have to grunt through.
The potato hour is a miracle saver. I mean, I remember, Kathy, when you messaged me and you said, I packed a potato and I had a potato for the potato hour. Who knew these things were so good?
Oh, good. Yes. Exactly.
Little Dijon mustard on that potato, or a little of the sriracha sauce.
Cholula sauce, my favorite.
Me too. Kathy and I love that Cholula sauce. That's amazing. I really love the analogy of the bad angel, good angel, and bringing those together, because that's one of the things that I really have been studying, is getting into the psychology of eating. And oh boy, there's a lot to learn. Let me tell you,
there's a lot to learn.
There's a lot to learn. So, oh my goodness, that's fascinating. Jeanne, do you want to go with number 3?
I do. So what are some of the challenges to meditation, and how do you work through them?
How do you calm that chatter?
I know.
Exactly. The monkey mind. Yep. It's like a little monkey going crazy, swinging through trees, and you just can't get your mind to stop thinking, Yeah. You have to think of it again as like an exercise, like flexing a muscle, right? So the basis of meditation is not so much, a lot of people think that, oh, you're in a trance and you're off somewhere in nirvana or something. That's absolutely not true. That's not what the goal is. The goal is to use all your senses to be absolutely present in the physical moment, exactly where you are, because you can't live for yesterday. You can't live for tomorrow. All you have is right absolutely now. And actually, that chatter going through your mind is your best opportunity to learn to create that pause so that you can make a better decision. So we often use our breath as an anchor to keep us in the present moment. So they say, observe your breath, right? So you don't want to just observe it. You want to like feel it, right? So feel the air coming in and into your body, and then exhaling, then leaving your body. What do all those sensations feel like? And that brings you into the present moment. But then the mind starts going, because all of us can breathe and think at the same time, right?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard.
So sometimes what I use is I have a little trigger when I notice that I'm thinking, right? I actually say in my mind, thinking, right? And then you drop that thought, you let it go, and you bring your attention right back to your breath, right? And so that ability to let it go, right, is what you're actually training. So if your mind is going crazy and you have to say thinking 50 times in the next 10 minutes, right? That's great. That's like 50 bicep curls, right? So every time that happens, you're actually strengthening that muscle, because every time you let it go and bring your attention back to the center and to the present, that is the exact exercise we need you to learn.
That is, that's so amazing, because I think when I'm doing that, and I would be saying thinking so many times, I would think that I'm not accomplishing anything other than just like obsessing about thinking. I would get caught up.
Well, you don't go pick up a 50-pound dumbbell and think you can do a bicep curl with it the first day, right? No, you pick up a 2-pound dumbbell, right? And do a bicep curl with that. So if the
Fair point, good point.
Yeah,
absolutely. It makes total sense. That is great.
We have a question.
Sure.
So what's your YouTube channel, Kathy?
What's my YouTube? Oh, I don't have one.
That was an easy question to answer. Sorry, Sierra, she doesn't have a YouTube channel.
Well, I think that maybe sometime Kathy's going to have to get a YouTube channel going here.
Absolutely.
Right. Actually,
and just to let people... Go ahead.
My brother-in-law has a YouTube channel, and he's actually, the last time they were here, he's like, you need lights, you need a decent camera. He's like, I'm going to get you set up. I was like, oh no. And then I'll sit in front of the camera and I'll like, why don't I have Nancy's cheeks? Right?
Well, just to let people know that we do record these, and they're on the Starch Queens Facebook Live, but we also post them on the sqweightloss.com under Q&A, and you can see the previous ones we've done. So we edit them and then post them up there. So if anybody wants to go back and catch some of the other episodes that we've done, because we've started doing Ask the Doctor series. So, and we have a variety of other guests on there besides Nancy and I.
Yes. We want
another drawback to learning meditation is just falling asleep. A lot of people just fall asleep.
Ooh,
right?
Yeah.
Because they're just trying to be in the moment. They just like lose it and off they go to sleep land. So
I would think that would be a score.
Well, sleep is not meditation. You can't bicep curl in your sleep, unfortunately.
True. I'll do anything to sleep.
It's a very easy way to avoid falling asleep, and that's just your posture, So you definitely want to be seated either on the floor or in a chair, right? Your back should not be touching the back of anything. So don't be like leaning up on anything or anything. And just the fear of falling will keep you awake.
That's a very good point. I've read that before in other books, that they when they touch base on being mindful and meditation, is you do not want to be laying in bed. You do not want to be on a couch. They always say you want to be sitting in a hard chair, both feet planted, back arched and straight, and you are focused on the meditation. And I've been trying every morning when I have time to get a good 5-minute meditation in. And I really like to go through my gratitude. So every morning I will really believe in, the power of the universe and getting my mantras out there. And I find that when I mindful and I start my day with gratitude, I have a good day. But I plant myself in a chair and I focus on it, and my mind will even start wandering when I'm doing that. So I'm going to use your suggestion of thinking that's going to even help. Just even getting through 5 minutes is a great place to start. Wouldn't you say, Kathy?
Absolutely. In fact, in the program, I have the guided meditations all in there. We start with 3 minutes for the first whole week is just 3 minutes. The second week is 5 minutes. The third week is 8 minutes. I think we only go up to like 12 minutes because the idea is you don't have to sit like hours, 90 minutes, 2 hours in meditation, right? The idea is to just get that muscle working and then bring it into the rest of your day. So I always say, I plan like just about 10 minutes every single morning. Let's start your day with mindfulness and then bring it into the rest of your day.
I love that. I love that.
And you, Nancy, you might enjoy actually movement and meditation. So I know you're a runner, right? So many people, the rhythm of your feet running, right, actually creates a meditative state. Take the headphones out. You don't want to be playing music with this part, right? And be absolutely present and just feel your body, feel the awareness in your body as you are running. And that's your meditation. You get two things done at once.
You know, I've actually had that happen. I had taken my earbuds out, and because I always like to listen to audiobooks when I run, it just calms me down and it calms my breathing down. And I had a real true runner's high euphoria, and I was focusing on my breath. I was focusing on being really in tune with my body and listening to it, making sure my stride was right. And then all of a sudden, I was just in this runner's high. I felt like I could just go on forever. And I contributed that to being really focused. And I find that when I really focus, and instead of letting my mind wander, it's amazing how good you feel.
Yeah. You know, being in the present moment actually creates endorphins in your brain.
Exactly.
And so, yeah. And so it feels like really, really good. And that's one of the steps in my program is to let's have a whole menu of ways that you can actually create endorphins in your brain without using food. As we know, these processed foods create these actually fake endorphins in our brain. And so if we can actually have a list of things that we can do to create natural endorphins in our brain, then we don't start looking for Starbucks and looking for a Snickers bar or a bag of Doritos. You know what I mean? So it's just like another tool that you can use like throughout your day. And I'll give you a little clue. One of the best things, easiest things you can do to create endorphins for yourself is to be kind to others.
Right?
I love Hold the door open for somebody, you know, smile at a stranger. There's this one guy, I think he thinks I have a crush on him. There's this one checker at Trader Joe's. I always go to his line because he's so grumpy, right? And I'm like, I'm going to make him smile, right? And so when I leave Trader Joe's, I'm like, oh, hey, I feel good, right? Because I made grumpy man smile, you know?
I love that dopamine rush.
Someone else. And that's like that. Natural endorphins in your brain. And who can't just give someone a compliment, like a fellow coworker, you know, you're driving, let somebody cut in front of you, you know, there's a million ways to do something kind for somebody.
That's funny that you said that. When I was going to work yesterday, I was going down the busy road, and there was a young couple that was trying to come out of the gas station. It was getting close to 8:00, and they looked stressed. And I just sat there, and the light turned green, and she looked at me like with these big eyes, and she's like, I can go? And I smiled, and I said, no, it's okay. And she's like, thank you. And boom, off they went. It's such a good feeling just to do something so simple. I love that. It's a great simple. Increase your dopamine without increasing your calories or adding what I call Frankenfood to your diet. So Absolutely. I love that. All right. We have a question from Anita Hill. Anita Hill would like to know if you studied with Lanny Mulrath.
Actually, I did. And I read Lanny's book. Well, actually I met Lanny at our plant-based Chico meeting, right? I just loved her so much that I bought her book, and then I gave it away. And then I bought another one, and I gave that one away. And I think I bought her book like 5 times. And the 5th time I finally put it on my Kindle so that I couldn't give it away.
Well, I think I remember coming in and you were doing my eyebrows, and I was like, yeah. And you're like, no, I keep giving the book away. I was like, okay, get it on your Kindle and read it.
Read it. Yes. And so, so actually I love her book, The Mindful Vegan, and I highly recommend it. Lanny goes, if you really want to know all the science behind meditation, she goes through step by step. She also has guided meditations where she starts with 1 minute. Day 1 is 1 minute, right?
1 minute.
Day 2 is 2 minutes. Day 3 is 3 minutes. And she has it's free to download all the guided meditations. And by the time you're done with her book, you're doing 30 minutes of meditation every single day. And so it's fabulous. And I've talked to her several times. She's just wonderful. I just love her.
I love how the butterfly effect of Lanny's book, how Lanny's joined us. So hi, Lanny. Thanks for joining. Lanny's book, The Plant-Based Journey, how it resonated with me, and how Lanny came and gave a talk at Plant-Based Chico meeting on the plant-based journey. And I have given that book away so many times. And it's just so wonderful how something can touch somebody's life and touch somebody else's life and change somebody else's life. And that's just the beauty, the synergy of what we're doing here and resonating with people that want to get healthy. And I get goosebumps and I get all teary eyed because I just think it's wonderful what you're doing, Kathy. And I'm so impressed with the mindful eating and the program. It's just amazing. We do have another question. Body versus mind. How can we keep them in balance in the modern world? That's a big one.
Well, that goes back to our good angel, bad angel kind of thing. And also includes that psychology of eating. So I always tell people, why is it that we wake up in the morning after sleeping 8-10 hours, right? Well, hopefully at least 8-10 hours. And we haven't eaten that whole time. And we're happy with just a bowl of cereal, right? We eat a little bowl of cereal and that lasts us all the way till lunch, right? At lunchtime, we might have a salad and a sandwich,
me.
No. What?
I'm out. Bowl of cereal.
I know,
that's an hors d'oeuvre.
Well, let's take our standard American diet people, right? Because you guys are way advanced on your eating. So our standard American diet people eat a bowl of cereal for breakfast, right? It lasts them till lunch. At lunch, they might have a sandwich and a salad because they think they're being healthy by putting hot dressing on the salad, right? And that is easily twice the amount of food as their breakfast, right? But that only lasts them till like 3 or 4 o'clock. And now they need a snack. So maybe they eat a candy or / protein bar, right? Because those things have so much sugar in them. And that only lasts them like an hour, maybe 90 minutes, right? And then dinner, they have this huge meal, which is like easily 4 times the amount of the cereal they had as first thing in the morning. And they gobble that down. And 90 minutes later, they're looking for ice cream. They're scrounging around. So why is it that this tiny bowl of cereal can last you 5 hours in the morning, and this huge meal, right, makes you look for more food, right? And this is about the psychology of eating. Dr. Doug Lisle, I watched his talk on this. It's called the cram circuit, right? Mm-hmm. And we have 3 different classifications of animals, right? We have the herbivores, which is like your deer and your cows and your koala bears. I love his little koala bear pictures that he draws, right?
Isn't he best artist? The best artist.
He's phenomenal, right?
I see Dr. Lisle like 3 times now at the Get Healthy Sacramento, and I just look forward to his art. It just kills me. Anyway.
So anyways, then we have our carnivores, right? These are the animals that only eat meat. These are like our big cats, basically, right? Or even my little panda cat at home. And then we have our omnivores, right? Which is our dogs, our bears, and humans, because we've kind of developed into that over centuries. And so if we look at herbivores, they're actually wake up in their feeding environment. Koalas wake up in a tree and they're surrounded by leaves, and this is the leaves that they eat. But as we know from nutritional calorie density, right, leaves do not have a lot of calories in them. So this koala bear basically needs to eat all day long, right, to get enough calories. Where these carnivores, they have to actually go hunt their food, right? And so hunting is difficult, right? So they have to leave their home environment, go off and try to kill an animal, and then bring it back to feed their family. So they actually gorge on their food because they only get to eat like once or twice a week, right? So they eat everything that they can, and their stomachs are all distended and they're super full. And if they wait a little while, they digest a little bit of food and they go back and eat some more, right? And so they just eat and eat and eat because they're not going to eat for 3 or 4 more days, right? Well, omnivores, which remember humans are included, we have both those instincts, right? When we eat a salad, as long as there's not a bunch of fat on it with dressing and cheese and that kind of stuff, we actually eat it relatively slowly. We don't like start cramming food in. And because there's not a bunch of additives and ingredients in there, that we actually can hear the signals from our brain saying, you've had enough, right? But when we start eating foods that are dense in calories, dense in fat, we start doing that gorge instinct that the carnivores do. And the more we cram into our stomach and the more it distends, right, we actually start looking for more food as soon as there's any room left in there, because our instinct is we're not going to eat for another 4 days, right? So cram everything in that you can. So that's why. Right? That's why the bowl of cereal, our stomach is empty. We didn't fill it up with a bunch of calorie dense food, right? And it lasts us for 5 hours. And yet at dinner time, we cram a bunch of food in there, right? And a lot of it is a lot more calorie dense, and has a lot more fat in it, right? For your standard American diet of like meat, potatoes, and a tiny bit of corn, right? And then we're looking for ice cream an hour and a half later.
Yeah.
So, and this is something that an instinct from our body has from 100,000 years ago, and that our mind has a hard time combating that instinct, because our body says, because again, 100,000 years ago, the most calorie dense food we could gather, right, was probably fruit at like 200 calories per pound, right?
Right.
And so we, oh man, I lost the track of my thought.
You were doing great too.
I'm like getting old here.
So you were saying that the oranges or the apples have like 200 calories a pound.
200 calories per pound. Okay. It's not a lot of calorically dense food, right? So when we're able to hunt and get meat, again, just like the regular carnivores, we would eat it all, right? We would eat as much of it as we can. So our instinct is to look for the most calorie-rich fatty foods that we can get. And when we see it, we eat it, and we eat all of it, right? That's our instinct. But right in modern day, we have like fast food, high dense, calorie rich food on every single corner, right? So our mind is like, I'm hungry, there's McDonald's, right? And that's our instinct is saying highly calorie rich, high fat food, eat it, eat it, eat it, and our mind is saying no, right? So that's where the mindfulness is like, okay, let go of that thought of eat it, eat it, eat it. Take a breath, check in with your body. How hungry are you? Can you make it home where you have prepared food, right? And choose a different option instead of letting the instinct guide you, where this instinct doesn't work very well in this modern day. So that's how we bring the body and the mind, and we bring them together, and we try to create balance, because it doesn't work. That's awesome. Yeah, it doesn't work just trying to like hardcore your way through it. We give in, right? But when we add the mindfulness, right, now we have the tool, right? I even still say, like in the middle of the day, because again, I pass 9 fast food restaurants every day to and from work. I'll be driving down and I'm like thinking, right? Thinking, take a breath, check in with your body. And all you need is that pause. But first you have to get rid of the thought. You have to strengthen that muscle to be able to stop and let it go.
I like that you say stop. In the book that I'm reading called Thin from Within, he talks about, exactly what you're saying, training your resilience muscle, which is exactly what you're saying. And he's like, the technique he says is that he recommends you say, stop it, drop it. And he says that when you do this visualization, it's good to actually stand up in your room, your office, wherever you are, put something in your hand, and then like this, pretending that this is something that's a very calorie dense Franken food, and you're at the grocery store and you've had a terrible crappy day, you're stressed out, and you're going for the comfort food. That's the comfort food that your 6-year-old self would have given you, your mom would have given you for calming down at the grocery store. Go to the candy aisle, pick something out. I got to get home here. You know, so it's like mom's freaking out and you're going to the candy aisle to get your Snicker bar. And that's the muscle that's built in our mind. That's the memory. But as we get older and we've, you know, taken our 6-year-old self comfort to our adult self, we have to tell ourselves, stop it, drop it. So it's just, if you do that and you literally see something that you need, that you think you need, you want, and you know you shouldn't have it, is to, like what you say, work the pause, say, stop it, drop it, and do it repeatedly. And it works. And I have used that. I went through a stressful situation over the 4th of July. I, you know, just going through grief with my mom, and I wanted to eat nuts. And I was like, nope, I'm not going to eat nuts. I'm going to stop it and drop it and practice the pause. So it truly works. Does
this work on chocolate?
What's that?
Does this work on chocolate?
I can't tell you. I'm allergic to chocolate. I can't have it. So Kathy will have to tell you that one.
Actually, once you learn the skill, you can actually now apply it to other parts in your life, right? So say you're having a stressful day, right? You can I teach this lesson. It's called the bus stop, right? And I've taught it to several people and they just think it's amazing. And so you're having a stressful day and you're upset about something, right? And whatever it is, and just imagine that you're sitting at a bus stop, right? And here comes the bus. It's coming towards you, right? And the bus driver is your emotion that you're currently feeling, right? So the key to making it all work is to acknowledge the feeling, right? So you say, hi, Mr. Angry Bus Driver, right? And then you take a breath and you decide, is this my bus, right? If this is not the bus you want to be on, just let it keep driving past. So it's the same thing, like acknowledge it, thinking, right? And then let it go, right? And so the next bus, it doesn't work always on the first try. I will warn you that, right? So the next bus comes and you're like, hi, Mr. Still Angry Bus Driver, right? Because you have to, the acknowledgement is the key. Acknowledge him and then say, I'm going to let it go. This is not the bus I'm getting on. One day I was so upset. I went through like 12 angry bus drivers. So I finally got to Mr. Not irritated bus driver, annoyed bus driver. I just, bus driver. When I finally got to, I feel pretty good bus driver, that's the bus I got on. And so we can actually release emotions by using the same mental bicep curl that we learned just by stopping those random monkey mind thoughts and bringing yourself back to center.
I love
so it can be applied.
So
that same skill can be applied throughout your entire life.
That's amazing.
So that's why I call it's mental training, right? It's really mental exercise.
Well, for people that are just tuning in, let me show Kathy's picture one more time, because this is just such a huge, huge transformation.
That picture is, I had gone to my doctor and I had said, I have to do something. This is ridiculous. I can't live my life like this. I was looking at a future of being bedbound and someone having to come take care of me. And of course, she recommended bariatric surgery, but bariatric surgery is a really long process. I asked my doctor in March what to do, and it wasn't until October that I actually had the surgery. So of course, they recommend a high protein, low carb diet. And so this is probably after I'd already lost like 30 pounds. So
wow.
Actually, my highest weight was actually about 30 pounds higher than that. It was really hard to tell because not my scale nor the doctor's scale at the office went over 400 pounds. We estimated that I probably started at least like 440, someone at my highest weight. So
wow.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
That is just truly, wow.
I mean, I'm so impressed. We have some questions from our viewers. So I'm going to start real quick. We've got one from Kathy. I'm not quite sure, Kathy, I understand your question, but I'm going to just shout it out there. Kathy J. Cross, she happens to be SNAP vegan. She is asking, how can our body be instinctual to a period/era we never lived in to know or learn that behavior?
That's a very good question. So we know how, I'm going to use a little bit of a different example, right? So you know how you can hand your iPhone to a 5-year-old and he's just like, do, 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 do. And he just like knows how to use the darn thing, right? Because we're actually born with certain knowledge, right? We are born with knowledge of the time. And those children only need to be reminded of how to use an iPhone. I was born in the 70s, right? iPhones were not around, but TVs were. I had no problem learning how to work a TV when I was a toddler, right? But when the iPhone came, I had to relearn everything, right? So we were actually born with certain knowledge that it's like general knowledge, because really, I mean, I'm a spiritual person. I don't go to church, but I'm very spiritual. And underneath it all, we are all one, right? We have our mind, we have our body, and we have our soul. And that soul is created to the divine, and the divine is created to all of us. So part of us is all one. And so we were born with the knowledge of the times in which we were born. And we only need to be reminded of certain things, right, to learn it. So we're all born with this instinct that kept us alive for hundreds of thousands of years. And it was only about 200 years ago with the Industrial Revolution that things started changing, which is just a nanosecond in the amount of time that humans have been on Earth. So these instincts in us are very, very, very strong. That's why the body's like, I know how to keep us alive and healthy, right? And the mind's like, no, you don't, right? And so that answers, I hope that she understands that explanation of that question. But I think
it's very good. It's very good. And it's true. It's actually, the books that I'm reading are talking about how that knowledge and that instinct passes from the mother through the umbilical cord. And it's absolutely fascinating what we're learning now about what you were just saying. And it just intrigues me. We have another question from Cassandra Queen Stahl. Hi, Cassie. Cassie's in our plant-based Chico group. Cassie, Cassandra would like to know, what are your current favorite techniques for calming an anxious brain, or, I lost the question, or mental chatter? We might have addressed that with the monkeys, but.
Yes, but there's one, if you're very anxious, right? Anxiety is when you think the past is going to happen in the present, right? So something has happened in your past, like I don't like to be around people that are drinking alcohol, because in my past that often involved abusive behavior. So I just don't like to be around those people. That makes me anxious, because I think those people drinking alcohol are going to be just like the ones that were in my childhood that started then teasing and abusing me, right? And so that causes anxiety. When worry is, on the other hand, is when you think something, the past is going to happen in the future, and we start worrying about it, right? We start projecting what might happen into the future. So like when I had bariatric surgery, everyone commented, you are so calm, right? Like people are usually hysterical and crying. They think they're going to die, because here you are morbidly obese and they're going to put you under anesthetic and your heart might stop and all this stuff, but you are so calm. And I like, well, I just keep telling myself, in this exact second, in this present moment, I am fine. Right? So forget about the past, forget about what might happen in the future. All you can actually deal with is the present, right? So this very second, I am absolutely fine. Did that make it so that I didn't worry about what I was going to wear, or the makeup I put on, or how frizzy my hair looks to do this interview? Yeah, no. Those little things like come up, right? But if you're just really, really anxious, right? One, release the thought that you're thinking, right? So just say thinking and let it go, right? And reassure yourself by checking in with your body, right? Which is also part of the meditation steps through the program. Check in with your body. This exact second, you are fine.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. It's such a good recommendation. That's great. Good question, Cassandra. Theresa, one more quick question, and then we'll go on to our other questions that were asked on our agenda. And this question is, I love it. Theresa J. Adams asks, what non-scale victories have you experienced?
Oh my gosh, non-scale victories. Well, one, just doing my laundry every week is like a non-scale victory, because I hold up my clothes. I put almost none of my clothes in the dryer, right? And so I hang them up to dry, and I'm like picking up a skirt, and I'm like, I can't believe that fits, because to me it looks like doll clothes, right? I'm like, there is no way that fits, you know? And then, of course, being wheelchair bound, every step that I take is a victory, right? Because you just don't understand how defeated and hopeless you feel when you can't mobilize on your own, you know?
That's
So,
amazing. Amazing. Congratulations.
Wow.
That's
and then
so
just learning to cook,
powerful.
right?
And do what?
Learning to cook is a non-scale victory for sure.
Well, I'd like to also share with our viewers today that Kathy is a recent certificate, or she recently earned her certificate from Ruby, the Forks Over Knives plant-based cooking program. And Kathy did a presentation at a plant-based Chico meeting on her little bit on her journey and knife skills. And those are all non-scale victories. I mean, everything that you're doing now, sharing your journey, doing your program, everything that you're doing now and pushing it out into the world with being mindful and teaching that's a huge non-scale victory. You've completely changed a 180 from the person you were in the wheelchair to the person you are today.
Absolutely.
You are a billboard, a walking billboard of non-scale victories. That's
just yesterday.
Amazing.
Or the day before yesterday, just recently, my cousin went skydiving for the first time, and he posted the video that they give you at the skydiving place, you know. And I like immediately text my sister, and I'm 48 years old, and so in 2 years I'll be 50, and I'm like, when I'm 50, we're going skydiving. And she's like,
oh,
are
no.
you insane? And I'm like, no, we're doing it. I'm like, no. I know it, girl.
No.
But
love it.
We're doing it. We're going skydiving.
I love it.
Yeah.
I zip line from like, I don't know how many stories that building is in Vegas. It's something that I never could have done when I was 105 pounds heavier. I would have never done it. But just conquering your fear, doing something that gets the adrenaline going and it releases the endorphins and the dopamine. I was like on a high for the rest of the whole vacation. It was like, I did it. It's so much fun. I mean, getting healthy is awesome.
Come on,
amazing.
Jeanne, you could come with us. I'm going to go to Hawaii and go skydiving.
Unless the airplane is on fire or there's something wrong, I am not jumping out of it. Sorry, not happening.
I'm with Jeanne. Why would you want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane? No way. No way. We'll watch. We'll be happy.
We'll watch. We'll be on YouTube. All right. I thought this was an absolutely amazing question. When I saw this, I was like, I stopped and went, what? I need Kathy's answer because I thought about this. And I was like, what is the difference between happiness and pleasure?
Good one.
That's a really good one. So happiness is actually an emotion and it is sustainable, right? So like emotions, you can say happy, sad, angry. These are things that you can actually have last quite a long time, right? But pleasure is actually a physical sensation. And in this modern day, right, we're often seeking pleasure, thinking that happiness. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So we seek pleasure with like food, sex, drugs, alcohol, right? Do these things like come into to mind, right? Like these are all a little bit abusive things to us, right? Whereas happiness is actually, we say there was 4 things humans need to survive: food, water, shelter, and love, because we're social creatures, right? So when we have food, when we have water, when we have shelter, when we have love, our instinct rewards us with happiness, right? When we don't have food, when we're cold and we're thirsty and we're hungry and we're alone, right? That our instinct says you're off your path of where you need to be. We're going to give you unhappiness, right? Because all those things are difficult and we're not happy when we don't have them, right? So we think that we can replace loneliness with alcohol, right? We think that we can replace being hungry, right? Hunger with a Snickers bar, right? But as we know, that doesn't nourish your body. A Snickers bar brings you temporary pleasure. It does not bring you happiness. Does that make sense? So in the United States, we are given the inalienable right to search for happiness, right? Not pleasure. But in these modern times, we are actually searching for that endorphin high of pleasure, not so much happiness. So we need to get our mind on the track that we deserve happiness, not so much pleasure.
I love that.
Does that make sense?
I love that.
That's profound.
It's so profound. And it's like, we as Americans, and we're seeking that dopamine hit, that pleasure trap. And that's very profound. That is such a great question. I love that. I have to do a shout out real quick to Theresa Adams. Theresa Adams is she tunes in every week for our Talking Tuesdays. And I just want to recognize Theresa. Thank you for joining us. Theresa is turning 60 next year, and she has jumping out of an airplane, skydiving on her agenda. So,
nice job, Theresa. Send us the video.
That's right. All right. I think the two of you need to connect and do this thing together. Hey,
Theresa, I know a girl.
And wasn't it former President George Bush that jumped out of the airplane at 80? And I was like, dang, still not going to do it. Still no.
Didn't the Queen Mother jumped out of the airplane and went down?
I don't know. I didn't hear that one.
She did for the Olympics. She did it they did it, advertised it in James Bond, and they actually showed her jumping out of an airplane.
Holy cow. I like her even more.
The woman what is she, like 150, something like that?
Probably. She's doing great. Hopefully she's plant-based. Hey, real quick, Kathy J. Cross has another good question, and then we'll move on to our next set of questions because we are getting a little low on time here.
Okay.
And this goes back to your bariatric surgery. Kathy asks, with bariatric surgery, is your caloric density 1 ounce of lettuce, or how do you manage small amounts in order to get the nutrition needed for sustenance?
Yes, that's a good question, because that is a problem. I have this tiny little stomach. I can a maximum, if I stuff it as full as possible, is like maybe a cup and a half of food, maybe 2 if it's like something really soft, So I have to really pump up on the greens and the veggies and make sure I get a good variety. I actually use Dr. Greger's app where you check off all the little things, right? And it's much easier.
That's a good app.
Yeah, it's a great app. And it's much easier for me to actually have blended foods. So I make lots of smoothies. So like every single day for breakfast is usually a little bit of fruit and a smoothie with fruits and vegetables in it. Every day for lunch is usually I try to get my greens in because Nancy's like, you need to eat those greens, right?
Greens and beans.
And I can get like 4 cups of like greens with a banana, and some pineapple juice Nancy taught me, and to get a nice smoothie that's actually easier for me to digest. And it kind of like, they call those slider foods where they kind of slide right through, right? And so, and also too, if I don't masticate my food well enough, I really have digestive issues. So blended foods are really actually good for me. I just try to swish them around in my mouth before I swallow them. But yeah, a lot of smoothies.
Good.
So,
well, you're going to get your nutrition that way. So that's fantastic.
Yep.
Kathy.
And that's often when I have plateaus that I'm not losing weight, it's usually because I'm not eating enough food.
That happens with everybody. So that you're just like everybody else in that regard. That's true.
Yeah.
One last question before we go on to our favorite things our new favorite things is, I have to do a shout out here for Forks Over Knives. It was the Forks Over Knives movie that turned my life around. That was my pivotal moment in my life. So your biggest takeaway from the Forks Over Knives cooking program for somebody that's on the fence, thinking about, should I spend the money, not spend the money? What is your biggest takeaway from the Forks Over Knives cooking program?
Other than I have not cut myself not once since taking the knife course, right? So the knife skills are worth the price of the entire program, right? Also the dry sauteing. I never could understand, how do you saute vegetables without oil, right? And when I would try it just with water, things would just kind of get soggy, and with water doesn't really develop the flavors that you're really looking for in sauteing, because you want a little bit of that caramelization, or water just doesn't give you the caramelization taste that you're actually looking for. So the dry saute, phenomenal. Those are 2 things I absolutely love.
And I'm a
actually, I
witness.
love I love the Forks Over Knives course so much that I'm now continuing on to the professional plant-based chefs program.
I'm
So
so
hopefully
excited.
by February, I'll be a plant-based chef, going from won't cook a meal because it made too many dirty dishes to plant-based chef in like less than 5 years.
I think that's a big non-scale victory. And I also want to share it too, because Kathy I'm so impressed with Kathy. And then she takes it even up another notch and tells me she is a former professional opera singer.
Oh, yeah.
How cool is that?
Another lifetime ago.
I love opera. I love
Wow.
opera and classical music. And Kathy's a former opera singer. Isn't that just so amazing? So
Very talented.
all these.
That's why we didn't need the mic over at Plant-Based Chico when I did my class, right?
Yeah, I'm still going to get you to do a song for us at one of these upcoming meetings. So, all right. Thank you so much, Kathy. You are our guest tonight. So we're going to start off with you. One of the things I should say real quick, the Starch Queens are all about nutrition, coaching, finding your health destiny, getting healthy, and also by removing chemicals and toxins from your skincare products, your home environment. So we love sharing what we're finding, because it's not always easy to find chemical-free, toxic-free personal care products and makeup. And one of the things I want to do is a shout out with Kathy's business. Kathy is an esthetician here in Chico. She owns Anderson Aesthetics. I get a lot of my makeup from her. You can see I got everything I got on here is from Kathy's shop. And and Kathy's going to take it away and tell us about the products she has, because it's really important to Kathy too, to only carry in her shop chemical-free, toxin-free, and a big part of it is organic products. So what are your favorite products?
So all the products I carry in my place had to meet my standards, right? Which were organic, right? Sustainable, right? And cruelty-free and vegan, right? I carry one product that's not vegan and it just has honey in it, but honey is so good for your skin. So I was like, all right, I'll let that slide, right? So I carry the Zooey Organics, which is a cosmetics line. It's actually made in Australia. I personally do not buy any cosmetics in the US because the standards in the US are just not, even the organic stuff in the US is just not up to my standards. I actually buy everything, most of it out of Europe, that isn't actually in the Zooey line that I carry. But Zooey Cosmetics, beautiful line. All of their products are based in chamomile, rose hips, and jasmine is the base of all their products. And then they add other flowers. Their motto is called "Wear Flowers on Your Face." So it's all just flowers and natural ingredients. And the pigments are really, really nice. I mean, they're very good pigments. And that cosmetics line stays on like nobody's business. So that's a really beautiful line. I also carry Andalou Naturals, which is it meets all my standards. Actually, is made right here in California. I also love their line because none of their products are over $25. Even the eye creams and the night serums, nothing's over $25. And they have these nice little packs that are $20, so you can try the main products of the line for $20. They're all little sample sizes, and they're really good for traveling too.
I did that. I love it.
Yeah, and then the Naked Bee, which is organic skin, like body lotions and stuff. They have really nice cuticle cream and foot cream, and even a hand sanitizer that has no alcohol in it. And they do use honey, so it's not vegan, but it is all organic. And that's beautiful. They have some beautifully scented items, so it's really popular. It's really nice hand lotion.
How long?
And then I have a slew of exfoliating products.
So Kathy, what was it that drove you to putting so much time and effort into being, really truly mindful in not wanting to carry any products in your business that have chemicals or toxins in them? I mean, what drove you to that decision? Because a lot of women don't think about it. They don't right. care, or it's not something that's like the light bulb hasn't clicked. So what was it that clicked with you to understand the importance of eliminating those from your personal care line?
Well, we learned from the medical industry that what we put on our skin actually absorbs into our bloodstream within like seconds. That's why we have all these hormone creams. Yeah, 26 seconds. So we have all these hormone creams, that we put on our skin, and nobody brought it to anyone's attention until the medical, the pharmaceutical companies did. And then it was like, well, wait, what else do we put on our skin, right? And then I found out that the number one preservative in liquid foundation is formaldehyde, right? So you're actually putting formaldehyde on your skin just to keep your liquid makeup preserved, right? On your skin, that's getting absorbed into your bloodstream, right? Jeanne can tell us all the crazy things formaldehyde will do to you, right?
Oh, boy.
It's just awful. In the United States, in Europe, they've outlawed 85,000 chemical ingredients that are not allowed to be placed in skincare products. In the United States, they had outlawed 8, right?
Wow.
So
that's
what a
because
huge difference.
Europe uses what's called the precautionary principle.
Yeah,
you have to prove that it's not going to hurt you before it can go in, and it has to be tested and shown.
Exactly. So meanwhile, though, places like Bobbi Brown, L'Oreal, a lot of these major, cosmetics companies in the U.S. have factories in Europe, right, where you can get the exact same cosmetic in Europe that doesn't have all those chemicals in it, but it's so much cheaper to produce in the US with the chemicals that you actually have to buy it from Europe. It's like, I can't go to, we don't have a Gottschalks anymore, but we can't go to Macy's or Gottschalks and pick up a L'Oreal eyeshadow without chemicals in it, but you can in Europe.
Isn't that crazy?
Right?
And I just have to compliment. Yeah. And look at how beautiful Kathy's skin is. How long have you been using a chemical-free, toxin-free skincare line? Because your skin is just amazing.
Actually, since I went to beauty school, so it just so happened that the line.
How many years has that been?
16 years.
Amazing. So, well, you have beautiful skin.
Oh, thanks.
Well, I would like to share some of Pure Haven Essentials because they've just come out with some new products, and I just want to share those. This is a soy candle that is for a bug repellent, and they've just come out with a bug spray called Bug Off Spray. So I'm loving these two things. I'll be taking these with me when I go on vacation, and also nice to have in the yard when you're out. I do a lot of yard work. But a couple of the things that I just want to talk about because we got coming up with summer. And I just want to, first of all, my boo-boo stick. I don't leave home without it, especially like if you're going to the beach and you're going to be out on the beach and you get a sunburn because you go out for the first time and you fry your skin. So a boo-boo stick is there to help if you get a sunburn, bug bites, things like that. So, but if the sunburn is too bad that it's painful because this is like a stick, it's like a almost like a deodorant stick that you rub on. If it's too painful, the burn, use what's called Nemo. Nemo is, and I keep this, I take these tubes with me. The boo, I must have about 12 boo-boo sticks in the house going at any given time. So the Nemo is amazing because you can, it's more of a liquid. So use it in place of where you would use like a triple antibiotic, bacitracin kind of thing. But it's very calming and soothing to burns, especially really, really severe ones that you couldn't put a stick on. But also something else is the toner. I use toner for everything but toner. I mean, I just don't use it for that. But anytime like my skin has an irritation or I'm out in the sun and I get sunburn and I can feel it and it's like, ow, you can use the aloe, but also I like using this. Or if I get poison ivy, I'll use a sugar scrub to scrub that off. And then once I get the oil off, then I'll use the toner to dry it out and calm it down. And then the boo-boo stick for healing. So you make sure you have these tools for summer. So keep those in your house, please.
Right. That's awesome, Jeanne. And that we should also mention that Pure Haven Essentials is an American company that uses no chemicals, no toxins, and organic products. And they're a direct marketing company. But the products, the quality is exceptionally good. They just don't have an expanded cosmetic line yet. So it's
coming.
It's nice to know. Yep. But it's really nice to know that like Kathy's got a little local business here in town that I can go to and get a really amazing assortment of cosmetics that are good for the environment. There's not, the footprint in the production of them is less on the environment. And it's also not being, toxins and chemicals aren't being absorbed into my skin. And I really appreciate that. So our next segment is, what are you reading, Jeanne? Kathy, let's ask you first. What are you reading right now? Kathy, what are you reading?
I'm reading a book called Ishmael by, I think it's Daniel Quinn. It's actually a novel, right? But it's beautifully done. And it's about, of all things, it's about the difference. They call them the leavers and the takers. The leavers were the gatherer hunters of 100,000 years ago, and how they actually left the earth in a better place, right? And then the modern day people are actually the takers, where we have like basically ripped everything out of the earth and we're leaving it in a not as good of a condition as we could have, basically. And it's a novel. It's about, trying to, even in this modern day, to actually be a leaver and leave the world in a better spot than it was when we arrived.
Nice.
So, and it won all kinds of awards, and I think it was written like 25 years ago, but it's a classic.
I'm going to put that on
and it was actually recommended to me by one of my clients who said, I've got a book for you. I keep forgetting to tell you about it. And I'm like, okay, I'll get it. And I started it, and it's like one of those, like, put it down, you have to go to sleep, right?
Ooh, I'm going to put that on my list.
That does sound pretty amazing.
What are you reading right now, Jeanne?
I am working on Breaking the Food Seduction by Dr. Neil Barnard, because I'm finishing up with him next week the series Power Food for the Brain. So if you've not seen those, they're on my YouTube channel and on starchqueens.net under videos. But powerful series with him on power foods for the brain and how you can get your memory back, before it's too late. And so the next series that we're doing is Breaking the Food Seduction. So I'm very excited about this. This is a powerful book. So I'm working on the questions right now and getting that tightened up in how many sections we're going to break it up into. I don't know, maybe 6, 8, something like that. This one's a little bit more intense book. Not that the others weren't intense, but this is a big one. This is a big topic.
Well, I pretty much would think that everybody in the world is seduced by food at some level. I'm really excited about this series and the book. I'm going to share with you, I was intrigued by a book that our Starch Queens member, Rabbi Beth, posted on her page which is finished. And I do Audible, and this is the book. It's called The Power of Moments. This is just a little page from Audible, and it's all of the little moments in life that really you remember. You'll do something in your whole life and you just, it's a big blur, but you might remember one specific day that you drove to school and why was it memorable? So I'm really looking forward to reading this book. I'm finishing up Thin from Within, and I can't tell you guys, if you have any type of disordered eating or you have an emotional eating issue, Thin from Within is a book you got to read. It's amazing. It's amazing. So tonight, we want to say thank you to Kathy Anderson of Anderson Aesthetics and Mindful Eating. We are so grateful that you joined us tonight, Kathy, and we hope to have you back again. This has just been phenomenal. Thank you so much. So
it was a pleasure.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So for more mindful eating information, you can visit Kathy's website at www.andersonaesthetics.us. One of us, Kathy, Jeanne, or I, will put the link in the comments. And she has a beautifully put together program on her website. We want to do a shout out to.
Totally free.
And what's that, Kathy?
It's totally free.
And It's totally free. This is her way of giving back to all of us. She's put it out there on her website. It's free, and it's worth your time to go through it and read it and do the exercises. And of course, we want to do a shout out to Lanny Muhlrath for all that she does in the plant-based community and helping all of us through the butterfly effect and the synergy of, she's been doing this for 35 years. And here we are coming along, learning from her. And I just think that is so beautiful. So big shout out to Lanny. So we thank you very much. Thank you all for joining us tonight. If you'd like more information on the Starch Queens, you can find us at www.sqweightloss.com, where we have coaching. We have an amazing program where you learn nutrition and help you get your health destiny right in your front and center so you can get your health back. Jeanne, do you have any closing comments?
I just want to say, though, in our program, I just got to say, I mean, I do an educational topic Monday through Friday, and I do the research because I'm the queen of diamonds. I like the facts. So I do the facts. But then Nancy takes the topic, and she does her driving with Nancy in the morning. And it's so powerful. I mean, she just gets right into your head. She pulls in all of her life experiences on every topic. And it's phenomenal to hear her talk. And on all the topics that we have, we record these and then we post them up on the sqweightloss.com for people that are in our program. They can go back and watch them again because they're powerful. They really are. And
thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Awesome. Kathy, do you have any closing comments you'd like to share with our viewers?
One thing that has really helped me just really quick is I always tell everyone, look, you're not broken and you don't need to be fixed, right? Because we always are kind of down on ourselves. Why do I do this? Why do I do that? Why do I do this? You are not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You are simply on a journey, right? Yeah. And that's, I mean, love to all of you.
And with that said, love yourself. Everybody
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for spending time with the Starch Queens and Kathy Anderson tonight. We appreciate all of you. Plant-based is the way. Everybody, if you have struggling with your plant-based journey, reach out to Jeanne or I or Kathy. We're all here. We're all learning together. It's a journey. We can do it together. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Good night, Kathy. Good night, everybody. Good night, Mary Ellen. Mary Jane. Mary Ellen. I never know her name.
Mary Ellen.
I got it right.
Night, John boy. Okay.
Good night, everybody.